Sometimes there's things in cases that are so disturbing to me that it literally creeps me out. And there's one thing with the Nancy Guthrie case, to the point that I didn't sleep at all last night. I have just been trying to meditate and focus on that, asking for whatever it is that I need to know. And I want to share that with you. What creeps me out so much is how clean the crime scene was. As though you just walked into a model home. You knew somebody was there, but they weren't. The energy was left behind because, you see, in many crime scenes, we expect a mess. We expect some type of movement. We expect to even see footprints in the carpet. Did they see any? Was that even an ability? You know, if someone has tile or wooden floors, you know how it is when someone walks across the floor or they walk across in their bare feet even. Especially on wooden floors, you leave a print. How about Nancy left without her shoes? Was there a print, or did it just stop right at the side of her bed? Because, well, Savannah says she didn't have shoes on. Do we see that she walked a little bit? Did we see any of that? There was no signs of a struggle. There was nothing that was knocked over. That is a disturbing scene, I think, more than not, because you have to wonder, did Nancy know? Did she know someone that was there? My source told me last night that it is his understanding that Tomas, I'm going to say it that way, walked her into the garage, walked her in. Because there is a little incline there. Some of you mentioned it, but there is a little incline going up to the garage. And it is pitch black at night. When you walk in and everything looks neat and it's quiet and it's untouched, it's almost too normal. And I have to ask, was this a real event? Especially something so sudden, and it usually leaves something that's out of place, something unfinished, something interrupted. And I have to ask, was this staged? Did Nancy feel safe with someone? Did something happen so quickly and quietly that she was unable to say or do anything? I mean, obviously, she wasn't. Her health isn't that good. You know, usually in a kitchen there's a glass unused, or a chair maybe slightly moved away from the dining room table. Nothing chaotic, but no noise to report. It suggests to me and the person that I spoke to last night that there may not have been the panic that we're all believing that there would have been. It leads me to wonder, was she I'm sure she was afraid. I'm sure she was. I'm not discounting this at all. Because a quiet room equals a controlled moment. Because you see, when there's chaos in a room, when somebody breaks in and there's just muck, mire, and mayhem, that really points to the fact that somebody broke in and took over. but this quietness, uninterrupted. I know even her home feels like that. And I can tell you, and I told this person who is my person last night, there's still evidence there. And he agrees. He agrees with me. And I wonder, was this rookie type chosen as the lead detective to go over there because they either thought it was a nothing burger, or you see, when this stuff starts happening, and I've only had 2 other cases that I personally worked on. I'm not personally working on this case. I'm not involved with them. I'm just this side person here. I'm the sideshow. When I'm putting the piece of a puzzle together, I try to find out what was not used. Which object doesn't match the story, and what should be messy but isn't. What about those footprints? If I were there, and I told him last night, if I were there, I would be telling everybody, back up, don't walk in the main traffic areas, get down close to the floor and look across, put a particular light and look across. Do you see bare feet? Do you see other types of shoes? And then you do a shoe comparison. But now that entire scene has been trampled to the point where it's fruitless. A clean scene doesn't mean that nothing happened. It just, for me, it just means something happened exactly as it was intended. And that was there more to this than meets the eye? I just can't help it. Was somebody involved that knew Nancy? Were the timelines on correctly? Will we know? Will we ever know? I do believe that there are more images that they're not showing, and I do believe a lot more. Today we have the cards. And I told him last night, if Agent Oobligada was here sitting in front of me, oh, he and I would we would have a little go, because this is just getting too much. And have you noticed now the phases, and they make this big deal and they come out, and it happens about once a week. And my question is this staged to the point where they say, well, we're going to give them a little breadcrumb, just keep everybody happy, but we'll keep everybody on the hook? If they think that somebody is going to come up and turn somebody in or whatever, I think those moments may be long gone. And personally, in my opinion, I feel they just may stick somebody in there like they may be doing in Utah. You know what I mean. Please don't put names. Please don't put any of that in the comments, because I like reading your comments, but if they're held, I can't. This is much, much, much bigger. And my source, who has talked to people, and happens to be some of the people that I spoke to, they believe it's much bigger as well. Because this is too perfect. This is almost like the perfect crime. It's too perfect. They should have had somebody in their sights 1 week, 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to also tell you this. Just because they say people have been cleared doesn't mean a hill of beans. Except, well, that it may make people feel a little bit more comfortable. And you know, when you're comfortable, you kind of sort of make mistakes. I have the House of Zelda. I have the tarot. I have Cartomancy, the Piotnik, and the Gypsy Witch cards, Grandma's cards. Well, no witch, maybe a little gypsy in me, full moon definitely, and lots of cats, and filled with tea. Here we go. And of course, Moisha is here. And we have the key. I am so unsettled about this. And of course, you know, there's things that I can't say and I won't say because I'm not going to lose my channel over that. Come on now. Come on. I work hard here. We're just going to lay out a few cards. I'm going to read as though Agent Oobligada is sitting in front of me, so that way I can ask Agent Oobligada questions and Agent Oobligada can share things with me through the cards and the energy. And by the way, I do have Agent Oobligada merch, and I'll link some right here for you if you want to check it out. It looks pretty cool. Just ask Agent Oobligada. It's kind of cool looking stuff. All right, energy. We should know something more here. We're going to get some unexpected news. I believe that as well. Because it just feels like something is getting ready to come to a crescendo, to come to a climax. Doesn't it feel that way? Does it feel that way to you? It does to me. But it's something serious. And the reason I put this little black cat on the card, well, it wasn't just because I like him, because look at him. Those little intolerant eyes. He's laying on a book. That means that there's more knowledge, there's more to know, to follow up on things. But this little guy means that, for me, to become more curious. To be more curious, to become more curious. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. Oh, and look. 2 kitties in a row. This is serious. It sure is. And the fact that we got that out to confirmation, 2 black cats. As far as I'm concerned, a black cat is always good luck. And a necessity, if you can. Answer the call. I will. I will. But if Agent Oobligada was sitting in front of me, I would just basically say, what's next? Because this just feels like a 3-ringed circus. It's time to get serious because this is so serious. Because as we know, time goes on. The main thought process is now that Nancy is no longer alive. Answering the call, well, Agent, sometimes you have to look into things that you don't really think that are that important. And sometimes I believe in this investigation, it feels as though the energy of law enforcement picks one little thing and that they're just like swoop down on it. And I get it. I mean, it's a manpower thing. There are other situations that they've got to pay attention to and everything else. But look, they assisted all of us into making this much bigger than what it is. I don't mean to discount it because it is big. But you know, there are other people missing. And if it weren't for Savannah being popular and famous as she was, we may not have never known this. But I'm just going to say, if she wasn't popular and famous, would this have happened? I don't think so. And Cameron? Oh, that's another one. That right there. That to me is a sleeper hold right there. Put these to the side. Now, what does the energy want us to know? I'm to the point where I'm not really trusting some things. I look, energy, numbers, they don't lie. But when it's manipulated, it becomes an issue. It becomes a problem. And it's very hard to read when somebody is there trying to manipulate. Wow, not happy cards there. We're going to wait and see what's the unseen here. The Chariot card, you see this fellow right here is referred to as a charioteer because he's the driver. But do you notice something? There are no reins. There's no harnesses. It's the yin-yang of the entire aspect of things. A balance. One thing about this card, it is the zodiac sign for Cancer. You see there's homes in the background. That's actually technically supposed to be the Emperor's castle. Look at him. Stoic, ready to go. He has I'm going to say a staff, not a wand. It's a staff. But it's a decision of which direction to go. And I'm going to say, I think that's where we are with law enforcement now. It's kind of like, okay, we've been around the block with this for a couple of times. Which direction do we go now? This is also a card, because I got to tell you, I love you Cancerians. Water sign, by the way, water reference. But you Cancerians, I'm a water also. But an attribute that I love about you, because it seems that 99% of the time, many of you just cannot wait to go on holiday or vacation or take some time off. And the moment that you do and you leave, you're going on this wonderful time. The first thing you think of is you can't wait to get back home. I get that. I get that reference. Here we are with this devil. Technically a Baphomet, but okay. He wants to sit in this, and he feels he's going to sit in within greatness. More power to him, because technically he really has no power at all. But okay. His bat wings go off the frame of the card. It is a time now in which we can see, because most time when an angel wings or swords go off of the frames of cards, we think, okay, well, we're not done yet. Okay, so there's more divine guidance coming. It's not divine guidance that we're getting from this guy. It can be more confusion, more focus on things that should not be. And you see, we have this couple. And I think that I'm going to say this couple that I feel has been involved with this the entire time, who is bound together in this situation and bound together in which there is more focus. I am a true believer, and I told him last night, this got out of hand. It went further than what people expected. I believe that it was intended to cause harm for Savannah, and I feel that local people who may have been contracted to assist felt that it was not going to be anything and it could be controlled, when the reality is they were also lied to by the bigger entity. I do not believe that it was any contractor. I do not believe that it was anyone like that. I just, there's too many signs to point to too many other things. And then we have this. Another water element. This is the sign of Scorpio. The flag is a harvest flag. Time to harvest. What is he harvesting? Souls. This also is a water sign back here, which is the sign of Pisces. And that is supposed to be the gates of heaven. We have a priest here who is trying to negotiate for himself. We have someone else here that is just so forlorn. And then we have some little kids. And then these guys, well, they didn't make it. But you see, there are still boats going down the Nile. And that tells us that life goes on. Regardless, life goes on. We're going to take a couple of these cards. These are the Gypsy Witch fortune telling, and many of you have asked. Now, there are two particular decks of cards. This is the box. I always keep the boxes. Try to. This is the box. The Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing card. Ironically enough, I want to point something out to you, because this is, and it comes with instructions. This is, you can see here, the writing is so small. I believe it's Cincinnati Game, I think is where it's from. U.S. playing cards. U.S. playing cards. And it gives you an example of the card on the back. But look at this. It is a little caricature or a little image of the Fool, the first card in the tarot. Which I just think that's interesting. But that, be careful of the version that you get, because they will be different and they might be a little harder to read. Let's get out 3 cards. A crossroads. The moon and the house. We're not turning that over yet. This is a summer timing card, the Ace of Clubs. This is kind of amazing because this reminds me of the roads around Nancy's house, which can be confusing. Sun coming up in the background meaning that there is a new day. However, it tells that there could be some evil consequences happen. This card, the 5 of Hearts, is all about making some decisions. And I still believe that this was planned down to the moon phase so they could have some light. Because it was a full moon that early morning that Nancy left the house for the last time, I'm going to say. But indecision, and the moon basically says that many times it will expose secrets, which we're all for at this point, because there's some hidden things here we don't know. I do not believe law enforcement is telling us everything, and I do not believe that they will. And unfortunately for many of us, it leads to speculation. Well, I think, and sometimes we think because we just have to not have closure, but we have to have some type of reasoning and justification in our own minds, because we would never do anything like this. That's why it's very, very hard to understand. And quite frankly, this is why I left the missing persons realm a couple of decades ago before I came back, because it messes with you. It messes. How can a person be so dark and evil? And sometimes those who will look you right in the face and say they love you, and they're there for you. This 6 of Hearts, very, very interesting. The 6 is all about home. And the 6 is a card of sacrifices. This home, I believe, is definitely Nancy. We have a number 3 there. I believe there were 3 people. And I'm going to say at this point, most likely 2 more that were brought in to assist with some things. But 3 and 2 is 5, and that's supposed to be some grace. And doesn't Nancy mean grace? I know that Nancy Grace is calling for the D penalty now. I agree with that. This is 31, comes down to be 4, 4, 2, 3 equals 9. 9 is pretty much the last point that you get before you just seriously have to start over. I don't think we're to that point yet. But the number 4 here, 4s in Cartomancy are not really that good. It can mean anything from you being in bed with the devil to being so hurt and resentful to being so frustrated that you can't get your point across, and especially that you can't find peace. Here come the Piotnik deck. This is 36 cards written in 6 different languages. I do not have the box for this card, my darlings. These are old. Not so sure you can get them very easily anymore, although, I think you can to a certain degree. And by the way, this vintage tarot that I like these. This is the box for the vintage tarot. There you are. Now do me a favor. Mark your calendars for Saturday night, because I got something that's pretty disturbing I want to share with you, to the point where there's a GoFundMe that's been set up. Yeah, we talked about a few of these things last Saturday night. And oh, by the way, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we talked about. And no, I don't have my ring on today. We're going to talk a little bit more about what we talked about last Saturday night in Egypt. I don't read we don't read these cards upside down. Okay, here we are. A message, a letter. Ooh. Could it be another ransom note? Could it be something more coming in? Or was it the one that was received, that was received yesterday that pretty much alluded to the point where Nancy was no longer here? You see, that guy doesn't look so pleasant, and he's holding a little hourglass. We have 2 death cards that are out here. Definitely a message. But here's a question. As morbid as it is, who's celebrating? Who's celebrating this clean scene that happened? Who's celebrating, believing that they pulled this off? Talk about the crime of the century. Agent Ubligada. I wish you were here. That is a couple that is married and a partnership. And that is, a couple married partnership, sharing lives, living together, and also sharing hidden things that can never be divulged. This Joker, there's one that's just line art, black and white. But this one, being that it is in full color, means that this is pretty serious. This, and the fact that it's in this line, this is extremely serious, and it means secrets. Secrets that most likely somebody will end up taking to the grave, because most likely Nancy did. And you know the sad part of it is, Nancy knows exactly what happened in that house. And I don't believe she's here to tell us. So now we have to depend on the talent of law enforcement to bring this forward. But I've got to tell you this. What's everybody going to do when they maybe find out some truth, and maybe somebody will be arrested and it will shock people? This card is not a good card. In the Cartomancy, for me, spades are not good. It is all about worrying. It is all about knowing what you're worth. Isn't that's kind of an off thing to be in this particular reading, unless you feel that you are worth more because maybe you know more about Nancy, if you're going to try to pull something off like this. It also can mean curb your imagination, which I'm not going to let go of the theory that whomever this couple is, whomever celebrated, is a little worried, to say the least. I'm going to say a lot worried. A lot worried. Let's see. What's the unseen portion of this? What is the unseen portion? It's time to rest. And you know what? I am in totality in agreement of this, because this stuff can get to you. And if you need to all take a break, you need to take a break. That's what this means. It's time to rest. It could mean that it's time to give it a rest, but maybe it's a wait and see card, which I kind of like to think that. Who's next is this tarot. The Queen of Swords, those queens who really put into law and they tell the king what to do. And, you know, amazingly enough, this is an air sign. Nancy is an air sign. You can tell by there's the little birdie of the spirit animal. She's sitting here. It's time to negotiate. And it wouldn't surprise me, because here we have this letter. Now, these are old images, by the way, turn of the last century, I'm going to say. So back then, there was no email or anything like that, no text. So we just have to say contact, and I think that's going to cover it all. But you see, she's got her little handout. Look at this. Looks kind of like Moisha to a certain degree. She's got her little handout, and it's a gesture of, okay, come tell me what you've got to say. Come and tell me what you feel you want us to know. The wind is starting to kick up a little bit here. The sword suit is a pretty windy deal, and it's because it's an air element. Nancy is a fixed air sign. She's an Aquarian, and her significator is the star card. This, you can see, the trees are just starting to bend a little bit, but look at the clouds starting to kick up. And it's because I believe things are going to start really maybe kicking up a little bit more. I think there's going to be some weather come into Arizona that may be an anomaly as well. And if that happens, I think it would be sooner than later. But if that happens, I believe that we can enjoy the idea of knowing that will be a sign. And here we are, the pig in the trough. This pig in the trough, a swine. 3 of spades, not good, and it means a third-party interference, which I still feel that couple may have gotten shed themselves, as they say in the South, they shed themselves of the third person, and now perhaps that third person is the one contacting TMZ and saying, look, I need to go into witness protection because I know more than not. But I have a hard time with that. And when I spoke on my call last night, so does he. We'll just call him Agent Ubligada. But so does he. He has a hard time with that too. Because this would imply that she's been out on the road this entire time. Someone would have to be taking care of her, giving her medication for what? For what? What is the end result? Because they're not going to pay for anything unless they have a proof of life. And we just don't feel it went down that way. This right here, this is a card, the pig, is a card of great abundance and ambition that has been attained. Ambition, you might as well just say mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Ambition attained. But there's that third-party interference there that's pretty interesting. Next up, we have this Piotnik. What's on the bottom? The widower, which to me is another indication that Nancy is no longer here. I don't really even know what else to say about that. And last but not least, this Three of Clubs, which we're going to move this, which is all about financial stability, but also being able to keep a roof over your head and being able to contain things until you get to the next payday, if that makes sense. It's a card of prosperity, wanting prosperity, wanting prosperity. I'm going to take out my Kipper deck. Yeah, might as well do it here with you, right? Here we are. If you get the Kipper deck, that's nice. You can get it on Amazon. I just love it. It's a beautiful card and box. But we're going to give this a little shuffle. I just want to get the last word with the Kipper. These are the Fien de Secu. They are also German. And just to give you a little bit of idea, I was thinking I do have the German deck. Do I? Let me see if I've got this. I want to show you. This is, but sometimes it's hard to read. Now these are in 4 different languages, and this is all about having a conversation. You can see the images on them are kind of cool. Look at this, prison. Hello. You see this? The box looks like this. The Gypsy Oracle. Okay? So, there you are, my darlings. Let's get the final card. Because you know I like to share what decks of cards I use. I know you all like to know too. Here we are. Imprisonment. Now, a master builder card. Somebody that was involved in the planning. I don't know, but I got the chills about right now. The energy feels a little, right? Let's look at the bottom of the deck, and it is adjudication. Yeah. 3. There's a lot of 3s that come up, and my darlings, I'm just going to say this. Someone is going to push for justice. Again, Utah comes to mind. I just want them to get the right people, and I want them to find Nancy, and I want them to get to the bottom of this. Now, I know all of you are gonna, yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. I cleaned it today, and I'm just waiting for it to, sometimes you just need a break. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, New York time. I will be here soon. Thanks so much for being here. If you made it to the end, put a Y in the comments as yes, or put a yes, or you can put a heart. I love having you here. Thanks again. Bye for now.